Hello everyone, here's part 2 of this little mini-series talking about my favorite music from 2024. So part 1 was the first video was part 1 of my favorite albums from this year. This is going to be part 2, where I talk about the last 9 or so albums that I liked from this year. And then part 3 is going to be some highlights of some of my favorite songs from last year, because there were some artists that released only songs last year, and I feel like I need to highlight those as well. If you would like to watch part 1, I'm going to leave a link in the description below if you have not checked that out. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started with number 9. I do have my notes over here, so I'm going to be just referring to them over here. So if you see me, my notes happen to be over here. Yes, so again, as I said in the last video, EPs were fair game. Anything that was soundtrack or re-recordings, I did not put on this list. Although there were some that I really liked, none really got to the caliber of what I would put in a list like this, if I'm being honest. That's not saying that they're bad. It's just saying that there was nothing that resonated with me in a way that would make sense for that. So without further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started at number 9, Chrissy Costanza, 7. So Against the Current, my buddy Chris and I, we talk quite a bit about Against the Current. We talk about Chrissy a little bit too in our regular conversations. He's one of my close friends, and I had decided to, okay, I liked Against the Current. I was like, I heard she was going to do some solo music, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'll check it out, because I always like to support artists that go solo, even when they're part of another project that I really like. And oftentimes, I sometimes lean more towards the solo music versus the actual full band. And y'all, I was completely blown away. Like, I don't know what it was about listening to this EP, but it was spectacular. The thought process behind the songs, the hooks, the melodies behind it, the way she sang throughout the entire thing was just absolutely beautiful. Jamont spoiler from one of my favorite songs is If Looks Could Kill. My gosh, the way the music soars through that song, and the whole way of just the beginning to end, just feeling through that song is wonderful. The closest thing I could get to feeling that is if you've ever played the original movie Spider-Man 2 video game, or the latest PlayStation Spider-Man games, and swinging through the city. That's how, like, the feeling of that and everything is exactly how I felt when I was listening to that song, and just I kept revisiting it. That one specific song, but overall it's a wonderful EP. But that one song I just kept revisiting, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I think that it's a mark of a good song if it has really good listenability and just repeatability, and it sticks in your head in the best way possible. And that's why it's here at this spot, is because it's just so good. Like, you know, I loved Against the Current, and just hearing this is just evolution of music, and some of it can just be like thoughtless music, or music you just listen to and turn your brain off. Some of it's a little bit of this, not necessarily in a bad way, but when I just sit and listen to this, it's just, I love the way I feel when I listen to this, and that's why it's so high on my list. Is just, I love just this EP. There is but one more EP on this list, and those who have been long watchers of my channel, this will come as no surprise for this being on my list. And that is Devour the Day's Fragments of Us EP. So, there was a little mini-series where I picked a random bunch of, mini-series here on my channel where I picked a random bunch of albums. I would listen to, grab 5 of them, listen to them for a little bit, and then give you a mini review. And that album by Devour the Day, I give it a 10 out of 10. And I don't rarely give 10 out of 10s, but I have been waiting since 2018 for new Devour the Day, and they absolutely did not disappoint, firing on all cylinders on this EP. If any negative I could say is I want more. And if that's the mark of a good bit of music, is that I want more, then they have absolutely knocked it out of the park. Just everything that I love about Devour the Day is here, from the harsh vocals to the heavy guitars and just the drum work, and just not necessarily relentlessness, but just the heaviness and the way they craft their songs is present. But it also evolves a little bit too. There's a little bit of evolution, and not necessarily techno, but more leaning in towards the synth. There, that's what I was thinking. A little more synth in the sound, and I love Chvrches. I'm really, in the past few years or so, I've really kind of gravitated towards synth in music, and this just, it hits the right spot. It's just, when I had heard the lead single for this year, I was like, okay, we're getting new Devour the Day. Like, I can at least get one song that it's like, okay, I've been waiting since 2018. Fantastic. And then just, they put out this wonderful EP, and it's like, oh man, I can't talk enough about that. That it's so good. And, you know, we have the EP. Obviously, I'd like a whole new album, but to me, this is well enough to tie me over till if they decide to put out more music or do a little mini tour or whatever. I'm just so happy Devour the Day is back. Like, as soon as I saw that the new song was out, I was like, one of my favorite, like, not necessarily like, not top 10 or something, but just one of my favorite in their sphere bands is back. And I was like, absolutely wonderful. So the next couple, we're going to go through 7 to 1. And those who know me and have watched my channel and have known me for a little bit of time may probably already know my number 1. But a lot of these are going to come as no surprise. But number 7 for me is an album by Poppy called Negative Spaces. Now, I never heard of Poppy through the same sphere of friends that I found Magdalena Bay from. And I was just like, okay. So I didn't get into Poppy with it. I was kind of in between album cycles. And I was like, okay, I'm going to sit down and listen to a full-length Poppy. And oh my gosh, I loved it. There were moments when it absolutely was a challenging listen and was like, it threw me back. But then there were other moments where it's kind of like, oh, the sensibilities I like in certain songs are here. And it kind of moves back and forth with that. And it keeps you listening, keeps you on your toes as you go through this album. It's like, oh, am I going to get this version of Poppy with like the heavy metal and the guitars and like the rough vocals? Or am I going to get more of a pop sensibility song here and there? And the way Poppy kind of goes through and flows through the mixing of the genres, in a sense, I guess. It's just masterwork. And this is no different. And it's one of those albums that I blinked and it was over. I was like, what? Like, when I could listen to an album and I'm listening to it and like, oh yeah, I enjoy this, and I enjoy this, and I enjoy this, and I can enjoy the songs on their own. Not necessarily saying like a concept album. Not necessarily concept albums are bad, but when I could pull out songs individually and be like, oh, I liked this part of it, I can remember this portion, I can remember that portion. I liked it as a whole. It was really, really well crafted, really well done, and I've watched a couple of other videos here on YouTube, and Poppy's getting on those top lists, and deservedly so. It's absolutely fantastic. Number 6 is going to be no shock to anybody. It's the latest from Myles Kennedy. the Art of Letting Go. I mean, come on. It's Myles Kennedy. You know I love Alter Bridge. You know I love Myles Kennedy. And he did not disappoint. The Ides of March, this is a follow-up to I believe the Ides of March, unless there was one other one in between there. But as a follow-up to the Ides of March, it is fantastic. The way he crafts songs, and the way he crafts melodies, and the way he just sings through them is just so different and just so wonderful with the way he does things that I have to listen. He's one of the few artists that whatever comes out, I drop what I'm doing and I listen. And I'd say 99% of the time, I absolutely enjoy it. So this is no different. The craftsmanship is still there. It's just a wonderful listen from beginning to end. I don't know what more to say. It's Myles Kennedy. I love Myles Kennedy. What more can I say? Number 5. Again, no surprise here. My lovely darling, I love me some Amy Shark. Amy Shark's Sunday Sadness is number 5 on my list. And yeah, I mean, when that first single, Beautiful Eyes, dropped, I listened to it like 200 times in a week. I mean, countless times I had that on repeat. Just the way she crafts pop music and the way she crafts melodies and the way she crafts songs is just so, again, earnest, honest, different. And I love whenever she comes out with something. And it's always tough to find Amy Shark on vinyl because she's an Australian artist and I have to import. So, fortunately, this actually might be one that I might not be able to get on vinyl really easy. But I did get a couple of my top artists on physical. And I'll show that in what I picked up and got for Christmas and holidays in that video. But just these top 5 or so, the top 5, whatever day kind of goes by, 5 might be number 1. These last 5 are just so good and so well crafted that I love them. And just thinking about the songs on this album, Can I Shower at Yours, Beautiful Eyes, such good song, good music, earnest, honest music that I was glad to be turned on to her when she was in her debut and following so far. So, it's such a good album. You can tell I'm a little giddy here. So, we're gonna keep moving on here. Number 4, no shock, Lindsey Stirling's on the list. It's me. Y'all know that she was going to be on the list. Her album Duality made the cut. And as a follow-up to Artemis, it's really good. The year that Artemis came out, it was my album of the year. And I class holiday music as something different. So her last 2 albums have been Holidays, Warmer Winter, and Snow Walls. And I was just glad to have I love Christmas music. Christmas music is classed as something that is its own thing. I love Christmas music. But I was ready for some non-Christmas music from Lindsey, and she did not disappoint. It was absolutely lovely through and through, beginning to end, and damn near perfect album for me. And it's just thinking about this album cycle and the last year that she's just been killing it. And I want more. I continuously want more and more from Lindsey. And every time she brings something new to the table, I sit and listen, and I'm absolutely blown away each time. And I'm happy to say that, and happy to report that she's done it again. And I'm so happy about that. The last 3 are honestly my number 1. If somebody came in here, gun to my head, and said, pick a number 1, I'd say these 3 are my number 1, or these 3 are my number 1. But the first one I'd like to talk about is this one right here. Lauren Mayberry's Vicious Creature. So those who have been my friends, who have been any part of this channel for any length of time, know just how much I love the band Churches, and how devastated I was that I was unable to see them when they came here. Churches is a band that means the world to me. I've made so many friends through being a fan of the band. So I owe it, whenever I hear something from any one of them coming out, I owe it to them to take a listen. And Lauren Mayberry, her vocals are some of the best in the world. What she brought with Vicious Creature is something amazing. And to say this is a masterpiece is an understatement. The set of songs that she put together, well, this is an album where it's a collection of songs, but each song builds off one another and brings something new and different to the table. And I absolutely love it. It is, from beginning to end, a perfect album. And I struggled with putting this at number one, or the first number three, or talking about that. But the next two I'm going to be talking about, I have deeper memories with and deeper emotional attachments to because of when they came out and with what happened. But I did the pre-order of her album, and I got its signed art card. And this is gonna be, I have all my signed stuff. I've done a tour. If you watch the tour video, you know that this wall where I'm pointing at right now is where I have most of my signed stuff. This is gonna go on my office table right here, but it is eventually going to go in the echelons of my most important signed areas. But the album is just, there's just sweeping moments with her vocals. The way she approaches songwriting is spectacular. It's different. Yes, it's a pop album, but the sensibilities behind it, much like Amy Shark, are so different that you need to take a listen. It's beautiful from beginning to end. One song I want to highlight is Oh Mother. And I'm very close with my mom. I lost my dad when I was 17, so I'm really close with my mom. And just some of the things she said in that album, in that song, hit right here. That it was one of the most emotional moments of the year for me, musically. And it's beautiful beginning to end. You should absolutely, if there is but one album that you check out from all of this list, Lauren Mayberry's Vicious Creature, you need to check that one out. We're going on to number two and number one, although they're really number one. Flory, The Lost Ones. This was an album that was I had found out through just a mutual grouping of friends, and as soon as I took a listen to it, I fell in love immediately. Another great pop album through and through, with the same sensibilities that Lauren Mayberry and other contemporaries that I like bring to the table. This is not a comparison. All artists I treat the same and everything. But the feelings that I got while listening to Flory's Lost Ones, this was my de facto number one album of the year until the next one we're talking about in just a moment or so came along. The feelings that I got from that experience of listening to that album beginning to end is just, I can't put it into words. The whole album from beginning to end is absolutely stunning. Just the way the songs were crafted and Flory's vocal flourishes and just the way everything goes, much like Lauren, is absolutely fantastic through and through. These last three albums are 10 out of 10s for me. And lately I haven't felt the need to have 10 out of 10s. I don't like to put rankings on albums, but these last three I'm talking about are damn near perfection. And the way she crafts melodies and the way the way she puts through the music and the way she handles music and everything is absolutely spectacular and wonderful. I don't know how much more to say about that. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And we're on to our last one because I'm seeing how long I've been talking. This has been a long video here. I've already filmed one other video with this, and I got one more I have to film, so I'm going to try and speed this up a little bit towards the end here. But number one should be no shock if you watched a video last year, and that is Casty Pope's Hereditary. That is my number one album. Casty Pope came back to rock music. I have been, like I said in my Casty Pope video, I have been a huge Casty Pope fan since Hey Monday. I got a chance to see her live finally after like 14, 15 years of waiting, after I've been following her through Hey Monday, through The Voice, through her solo career of country music, a little bit of pop music, and now back to rock music. Spectacular. I mean, there's nothing more that I could say. It's spectacular. And this album is, again, perfect from beginning to end. There are just wonderful genre mixing moments, and just the way she carries melodies and the way she writes music is just something that's different. And I love it so much. And I'll talk more about the songs that I love from this album in the next video, but yeah, there you go. Number one is Casty Pope's Hereditary. Thank you so much for watching part 2 of this 3-part little mini series here. The last video in this is going to be talking about some of my favorite songs from last year. But if you've been watching this, thank you so much. Let me know down in the comments below, like last video, if you found anything really cool last year, any favorites from last year, please let me know. I always love to have music, conversations about music, and I've gotten, like I said, I've gotten some really great responses from my little mini series and coming back to YouTube. So please keep that going. I love those conversations that we've been having. But as I say at the end of everything I'm in, when the waters get rough, keep on sailing. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.